Ay lo ay lo Venezuela canta. Ay lo ay lo ay lo Venezuela canta. Por la mañana viva por América Latina. Alerta, alerta, alerta que camina. El para de Bolívar por América Latina. Esta es la revolución, esto es.
What we find is that what people are most attracted to is the fact that there is a revolution, that there is a very powerful movement in Venezuela where people are taking their own future into their own hands. They're doing something concrete to change their life conditions.
Esto es el armamento de nosotros, el sentimiento.
We have the democracy in our hands.
It is not just a process driven from the top. It is not just a process driven by a small number of people. It is a process in which millions of people are engaged.
What inspired me really a lot to go and get involved in the work about Venezuela was the fact that the people, for the first time ever, feel that they are in charge of the things, that there is a government which is serving the basic interests of the poor people.
It's extremely important that we, as American citizens, defend the Venezuelan Revolution, that we defend the will of the people of Venezuela to decide what they want to do and not to be interfered with by the United States government.
Ustedes cada aquí 2 días, 3 días recorren, ustedes van a ver la realidad de lo que está sucediendo. Y van a decir, bueno, mira, yo no pensaba que en Venezuela hubiera una libertad como la hay.
So what we're here today, and the whole week of events we've had leading up to this, is just to let the world know that there is this positive movement going on the other side of the world in Venezuela, and its implications are worldwide.
Well, from very small beginnings, I must say that the Hands Off Venezuela campaign has really taken off quite spectacularly internationally. We are presently active in about 40 countries.
The campaign has really developed as an international campaign. There's a lot of interest from all over the world, even places you wouldn't imagine. We even had Hands Off Venezuela meetings in Palestine, in Morocco, all over the world really. And though the situation in Venezuela is not exactly the same as in many other countries, people can relate to that, the idea of radical change, the idea of people getting organized, transforming their conditions.
We've got groups from coast to coast to coast. We've got groups in Vancouver, we've got groups in Halifax. We just had an event in Whitehorse in Yukon, up in the far north of Canada.
Like Channel 4 News and The Independent are terrible on Venezuela.
You know, it's just the facts. If you tell people the facts about Venezuela, they're instantly a Venezuelan supporter, because how can you not be?
We've got groups up and down the country, and those groups are growing. We try to spread the message in the universities, from Scotland to the south in Brighton, and they start themselves the work of spreading the message and building solidarity.
Possible to distribute.
We also participate in trade union conferences in which we move motions in support of Venezuela. And if we put together all the unions that in these last few years have either affiliated or have expressed support, this amounts to more than 3 million workers. And I think that this shows the huge enthusiasm the Bolivarian Revolution in Venezuela creates.
The visit of President Chavez to Europe was a spectacular success, I would say, for the President, and also for Hands Off Venezuela.
Saludarlos a todos aquí representados en su Parlamento. Gracias. Ese movimiento Manos Fuera de Venezuela cómo ha apoyado a nuestro pueblo, a nuestra revolución, cómo nos ha defendido por el mundo, Alan Woods y a todo el equipo. Hicimos un acto antenoche en Viena muy bonito, bajo la luna llena. Miles y miles de jóvenes convocados por Hands Off Venezuela.
In Vienna, in Austria, we organized a fantastic meeting of over 5,000 people, which I think was a really spectacular success in mobilizing the youth in particular, the labour movement and the people of Europe in support of the Bolivarian Revolution. I think this was a spectacular success.
The reason why President Chavez finally came to our meeting was that they could feel that we are really revolutionary by heart and that we mean what we are doing. I think it was really good. It was really so good. And in fact, it was the biggest meeting in solidarity with the Venezuelan Revolution ever held in Europe, we were told afterwards. And I think this can be done, not just in Austria, this can be done anywhere.
We've had many lectures from our Prime Minister downwards on the need to eliminate poverty, and indeed the British aid and trade programme is often, it is alleged, linked to the elimination of poverty. Well, Venezuela is a country that's doing it. It's using Cuban doctors in exchange for Venezuelan oil. It is developing an education system. It's developing a housing programme. It has a very low level of unemployment and is doing a great deal. I think there's an awful lot to learn there.
We have been concerned with some of the actions of Venezuelan President Chavez and his understanding of what a democratic system is all about.
One of the main focuses of the campaign is obviously to try to cut through the fog of lies and slanders that appear in the mass media about what is really happening in Venezuela. We're not surprised about that because the media everywhere in the world is owned by a small number of monopoly groups. And these people are also wealthy and powerful, and they're not interested in reporting that the revolution is happening in another country because otherwise their interests will also be affected.
The way that what's happening in Venezuela is presented in the United States media is in some ways predictable. The far-right media is obviously full of total lies, complete lies, denunciations, and attacks.
The U.S. accuses Chavez of being a destabilizing force in Latin America.
He's also harboring potentially terrorists, at least reaching out and inviting them into his country. He's a very dangerous man.
We have the ability to take him out, and I think the time has come that we exercise that ability.
It's very subtle sometimes because they'll say, for example, President Chavez, who is accused of dictatorial tendencies, said this or that or the other. Or Chavez, a self-proclaimed socialist revolutionary, did this or said that. So little things like that.
The socialist dictator Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Would you rather live under Hugo Chavez than George Bush? Yes.
Lo que quiere Bush es el petróleo de acá. Y entonces aquí no vamos a permitir, vamos a dar la sangre. Va a derramarse la sangre, porque Bolívar dijo, yo la liberté, háganla. Entonces Chávez la está haciendo conjuntamente con su pueblo. Y aquí está un pueblo resteado con la realidad, porque estamos resteados.
Patria muerte, resteado.
This is naked US imperialism, which the UK government is allowing to happen without comment.
De saber que en el mundo entero había gente pendiente de nosotros, de saber que en el mundo entero hay gente que conoce lo que está pasando y que está dispuesta a salir en Europa, en Norteamérica, en todas partes, a defender la revolución bolivariana en momentos en que esté amenazada.